Accounting as a profession preaches, studies, and writes accountability. This, all the way, leads to transparency. Needless to say, transparency on its own goes a long way to ensure good governance. So it would be right to assert that any society that promotes good governance would be intolerant of corruption. Now, accountants as professionals have a lot to do with all this by virtue of their calling and practice. Some people have even gone further to say that this group of people owe it a duty to the government of the day to prove their mettle and demonstrate fairness and transparency in their work. Well, this line of reasoning becomes even stronger as the immediate past president and chairman of council of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, Mr. Anthony CHUKWUEMEKA NZOM, is quoted as saying that accountants are totally in support of the anti-corruption war being waged by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. The question is, how? Do accountants have what it takes to strengthen and fast-track the anti-corruption crusade? Can financial corruption be perpetrated without the connivance of an accountant? We'll get you answers within this half hour. Welcome to Nigeria Today. My name is Kande Daniel. Let me first introduce my guests. Professor Muhammad Akaro Mainoma is the Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University. He is also a Professor of Accounting and glad to announce incoming President of ANAN. Welcome, sir.
Good evening and you're welcome.
Joyce Betu, Mrs. Joyce Betu is the Chairperson FCT 1 branch of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari said, and I quote directly, "With regards to fighting corruption, you as accountants have a special contribution by bringing to bear your special skills in ensuring that books and records are properly kept." Now, Mrs. Wetu, can you quickly share with us, first of all, some of those special skills that Mr. President referred to?
Thank you very much. The professional accountant must be able to analyze the books of accounts. And this is one of the very important aspects of accounting that an accountant can employ to make sure that he or she is able to detect fraud in any organization.
All right. Moving on, Prof, from your perspective as a professor of accounting, how key really is accountability in good governance?
Is central to good governance. Actually, the whole issue of governance is about managing resources, whether human or material. So if the accountants are central in issues of raising these resources, recording these resources, managing these resources, so you find out that there is no way you can separate accountability with what professional accountants do.
Right. I know neither of you would like to hear this, but it's inferred in some quarters that a system cannot be corrupted without the aid of an accountant. Your comments, please.
Yeah, to an extent, that is true, because an accountant keeps the books of accounts, and an accountant is the one that can also dictate, and that is why when we are being trained in the field, you are trained to be able to perpetrate so that you can be able to also detect fraud.
Okay.
Yeah, what you don't know about, you cannot try to curb it.
Okay. So you taught the
like
tricks.
The president
and
said
how to remedy them.
The president said that corruption is like cancer. When you have a cancer, you need those that are trained to, in that aspect, to be able to fight it. So when you know how to perpetrate, you will know also how to curb it or how to detect it. And a step further, fraud merely is perpetrated within the accounting the sector of every organization or section of every organization. But the manner and the way that people perpetrate fraud in organizations is such that if you find it's something that is alarming, and that is because you have both the accountants and trained accountants and those that are not professional. When I'm saying trained accountants, professionals and those that are not professionals. Now, when the professional is there, the professional accountants know how to guide against, fraud within that organization. But those that are not trained, they see it as a way. They see a section, that accounting section, as a way where, or a place where they can easily enrich themselves. So an accountant must be able to know it and to also curb it or forestall it.
Right. I'm anxious to hear Prof's contribution to this.
Yes.
How true that the accountant has the power to prevent and has the power to also aid or even commit fraud.
Yeah, the real issue actually is that yes, they will have some knowledge of what is happening within when people are trying to siphon money or do away with resources that are not theirs. But where does the ultimate responsibility lie? You find out that no matter what you want to do, if you do not have the final say on the issue, if you are to report to somebody that is not an accountant, if the ultimate responsibility lies with somebody that is not an accountant, so he may not have the requisite ethics to operate within the ambit of what you are trained to do. Yes, accountants are trained. Yes, accountants have, but you find out that in most instances, when fraud are perpetrated, those at the helm of affairs might not be accountants. So they do not have the ethical conduct that the accountants are trained to have. So they may want to cut ways. And that is what is actually happening within the Nigerian economy. You find out that even though you have the skill, even though you have the capacity to identify what is the problem, but the much you can do is to say this is it. But people at the helm of affairs may not allow that to be known by anybody. So at the end of the day, that is why you find in most instances, even if the fraud, the accountant may be able to exonerate himself because he must have informed that this is not the way to do it. And the person at the helm of affairs insists that that is how he wants to do it, how he wants it done. So at the end of the day, you find out that you may not find the accountant culpable because he knows that these are not done in the best of tradition. And once somebody insists that he wants to do it that way, then he takes liability. And that is why you find out that unless, of course, you allow accountants to be the final say on matters of financial involvement, then you will not solve the kind of problem we have in the country today. But if the accounting officers are not themselves accountants, then you cannot solve the problem we have, because they will do it in the tradition they know best, while accountants are trained in the tradition to do it the best of in the best of tradition. So if at the end of the day you do not have the accountants as accounting officers, you may have to actually live with this problem that we have today, that those that know are not the ones that are actually the superintendent of these resources.
They are not the political or administrative heads.
Yes.
Therefore, the buck does not stop on their table.
Yes.
And they do not have, most times, they do not have all the power to say the final no to a fraud that is brewing. Mrs. Gbetu, if you find yourself in such a dilemma, what would be your most practical solution to the situation? What would be your most practical reaction to a situation like that?
Yeah, that is why every accountant, a professional accountant, is exposed to the ethics of the profession. Like my boss just said, you may, as an accountant, as a professional accountant, you may not have the power to stop it when you have superior officers who are, who are interested in perpetrating it. So as an accountant, as a professional accountant, a trained accountant, what we do is to, now that is where the ethics of the profession comes to play. I've had a situation where somebody is asked, an accountant is asked to release a particular sum of money, and he knew that it was wrong. Professionally, he shouldn't do that. So what you should do is to make the person take responsibility. There's a way an accountant make somebody take responsibility, and you have been instructed, you carry it out, but you make sure that it's documented and the person takes responsibility for that.
Because I was going to ask, when such acts are perpetrated,
yes,
like we see happening in the current dispensation, the axe will come falling on the heads of the perpetrators somewhere down the line.
Yes.
So I was going to ask, how do the accountants protect themselves when such a time comes? So she has begun to answer it. You want to help in that direction?
Yeah, I was in Gombe last week, and the Emir Kaltungo was saying that most of the time you will find accountants in an organization. They are the ones that are doing the bookkeeping, they are the ones that are keeping the records. But at the end of the day, you will find that when AFCC is inviting the people, they don't invite the accountants to be jailed alongside the other people. And I casually said that it is because the accountants know what is right, and they do only what is right. So if at the end of the day, you say that a bottle of water can be sold for 15 naira somewhere, and it can be sold for 100 naira somewhere, if the people that are buying it for 50 naira, and you tell them that there is a place that you can buy it for 15 naira, and they refuse, that they want to buy the one that is for 100 naira, there is nothing you can do. All that they will need to do is to give you a receipt. At the end of the day, you have given 100 naira to somebody, and he has bought a bottle of water. So at the end of the day, you are exonerated. There is evidence that you have given the money. There is evidence that he has given you something to show that he has taken the money from you. So it is, you are covered. But what is important to us as Nigerians, it is not the ability of the accountant to cover the tracks that he is not made part of that transaction. But what is important is to safeguard the assets of that organization. And I think that is what is important to some of us as accountants, that at the end of the day, if you find yourself in that kind of environment, I think the most honorable thing to do is to quit. Because you cannot continue to remain where people are doing the wrong thing, and you say because you are not the one doing it. And you should be in a position, and the law should also make it such that you can be protected, that you should be given another opportunity to work elsewhere if you are able to prove a case that somebody is trying to perpetrate fraud in a particular organization. I think the law should come in aid of those that are actually trying to assist this nation, because the moment somebody is able to prove that this is the kind of things that people are trying to do in an organization, and that it is going to cost him his job, then it should be given almost automatically an alternative engagement. And that way you will find people are very willing to report cases of corrupt tendencies in organizations.
All right, thank you, Prof. It's time for us to take a break. We'll do that right away and be back in a moment.
The Nigerian Television Authority News 24 channel, your dependable all-round news station, offering you world-class news programs, documentaries, spotlights, promos, and information highlights. Take advantage of our network reach and advertise your interest, goods and services with us. NTA News 24, first among equals with digital broadcasting. You can reach us on Channel 21 Terrestrial TV and Channel 101 on the Star Times platform. For more inquiries, please call Coretta 0803 618 9986 or Henry on 0803 379 0884. Join us today.
Yo, welcome back. The discussion continues now in the Nigeria Today studios concerning the role of accountants in promoting, supporting the anti-corruption crusade. And I still have with me Mrs. Joyce Etu, Chairman, ANAN FCT 1 Abuja branch, and Professor Mohammed Mainoma, who is our incoming president of ANAN. So, if I remember correctly before we went on break, Prof actually advocated protest resignation as one of the steps that a professional accountant could take in the face of a brewing fraud, which he does not want to partake in. Prof, let me throw the question right back to you, because we are about solutions on this matter. What manner of legislation would you recommend?
Simply to have a law that once there is a clear case of potential criminality in an organization, and somebody is like this issue of whistleblower, that they whistleblowing, that they give financial reward, some percentage of whatever is recovered from that kind of exposure, that the person should also be given an alternative engagement. That once you are able to detect, to show that in this particular organization you are living because people are trying to do things that you don't agree with, your job should be secured. That once the law is there, that you cannot at least lose nothing if you are leaving that engagement because of your ability to expose a particular mismanagement.
Right. That would really go a long way in promoting this crusade against corruption. We do not have to say it, Mrs. Betu, but we're not all clean, are we, in the house? There are instances where professional accountants are actually found culpable of involvement in financial corruption. In a situation like that, or taking a cue from that, how would you suggest that accountants should conduct themselves? What other things do you think professional accountants should be doing to further prove or show their transparency and fairness in going about their work?
Yeah, like I said before, the first thing the professional accountant should do is to follow the ethics of the profession. There are rules, there are regulations, there are ethics that guide you as a professional accountant. You find yourself, like my boss said, in a situation where fraud is being perpetrated. You have a right to present to whoever the right thing to do. And somehow it should be documented. You are in that manner shielding yourself, projecting yourself as a true professional, you know, that you are. And
I was about to say, when the accountant himself is the one perpetrating the fraud, what would be your comment and reaction? How should the situation be handled?
Yeah, just the way it should be handled.
Should face the wrath of the law.
Of course. And as a matter of fact, if that accountant is a professional accountant that belongs to a body, a professional body.
I was coming to that.
Okay.
How does ANAN, or how do ANAN and other sister bodies deal with, what punitive measures do you have for dealing with bad eggs among you?
Yeah, I know of ANAN because that is where I belong. And I know that if I'm found to have perpetrated fraud, I'm investigated and found guilty. And I know that one of the things the association will do is to withdraw my certificate. Yes, membership certificate. Then I'll face the law.
Prof, is she leaving anything out?
Yes,
punitive measures.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you see, there is a very defined procedure and processes for punishing members. You start from actually investigating the members once it's reported, and there is what is called a tribunal that people face to, and once you are found guilty, like she said, your certificate can be withdrawn as the first thing, and still face the law, because whatever it is that apart from the punishment from the your professional body, you may also have to be surrendered to also take the law to take its course.
Okay, as we're winding down, I'd like to hear from you professionals. What's your assessment of the ongoing anti-corruption crusade of the present government is? Are there any ingredients you would suggest to be added to the war against corruption?
Yes, definitely. Number one thing is that the professionals must be involved, because they are the ones that actually can determine, because it is not sufficient to leave the matter to the police. It is not as sufficient to leave it to EFCC or ICPC, because even though these bodies might have individual professionals in them, but the professional bodies need to be carried along, so that they will be in a position to know who among their members is also guilty of those things that, but as it is today, you'll find out that a member of an association or a professional body might be involved in a case like that, and up to the point that he is found guilty, but the organization might not know about that kind of involvement. So there is the need to actually get the institutions that are professional in nature, particularly the accountants bodies, that they should be in part and parcel of, because they are in a position also to say how exactly you can determine culpability in the matter. So I believe if you involve them from the start to the finish, it is going to help the crusade.
Right, okay, we have less than 2 minutes to go, and I think I'd like to hear from Mrs. Joyce Wetu a little to educate those of us that are not professional accountants. There's this knowledge area of forensic accounting. Can you tell us just a bit about it in the less than 1 minute we have left actually now, and how relevant it could be to the anti-corruption crusade?
Yeah, forensic accounting is very important and helpful, useful in the fight against corruption, because there you find you have a lab where you are taught how to analyze, how to go into search for the necessary
financial records and information.
Yes, and I wanted to say it, but now accountants, in the quest to have a clean economy, a fraud, corruption-free economy, have also taken a step further. There is audit train now that researchers have come up with. That is a real-time framework that you don't wait until the fraud is perpetrated, you see it as is being perpetrated, such that you can halt it, before it's concluded. So those are the efforts that professional accountants are making.
Yeah, that sounds great. Prof, I know you're itching to say something, but we have actually run out of time. Yes, but we from this discussion, I do see us getting a lot of support from the accountants going forward in the fight against corruption that is going on right now, and I think that is something good to go home with. This is where we'll leave the conversation because of time, but I'll sign off on a thankful note for the professional insights we have received. Mrs. Joyce Betu, Chairperson FCT1 branch of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Professor Mohammed Mainoma, Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University, KEFI, and Professor of Accounting, and like I announced earlier, I announce again our incoming President of ANAN. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much. And on behalf of the Nigeria Today crew, I thank you for watching. Remember, it gets better every day, and the program comes to you every weekday, same time. So join us again tomorrow, and also watch any edition online at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Kande Daniel. Good evening.